1876 letter exposes startling secrets of the Battle of Little Bighorn. Captain John S. Poland, a seasoned military officer, wrote a letter to the Assistant Adjutant General of the Department of Dakota on July 25, 1876, providing a detailed account of the Battle of Little Bighorn. In this letter, Poland shares his insights and information, gathered from 7 Sioux Indian sources, offering a unique perspective on the battle. With precision and clarity, Poland recounts the events leading up to the battle, the tactics employed by both the U.S. Army and the Native American forces, and the aftermath of the battle. I respectfully report the following, as having been derived from 7 Sioux Indians who had just returned from the hostile camp. On July 21st, some of these individuals had engaged in the Battle of June 25th with the 7th Cavalry. The agent at the agency, not distinguishing between them and other Indians, instructed them to keep silent about their involvement. To the other Indians, he either sent or delivered personally the directive not to inform the military of the return of Indians from the hostile camp or circulate reports of the recent fight. The Indian account follows. The hostile bands were in the midst of their most sacred religious festival, the Sundance, when rumors of the cavalry's approach reached them. The dance was immediately suspended, and a general rush ensued, mistaken by Custer perhaps for a retreat, as horses, equipment, and arrows were hastily gathered. Major Reno was the first to attack the village from the south end, across the Little Bighorn. Their narrative of Reno's operations aligns with published accounts. How his men were quickly confronted, surrounded, dismounted, rallied in the timber, remounted, cut their way back over the ford and up the bluffs, suffering considerable losses, and how the fight continued for some time, until runners arrived from the north of the Bede village with news that the cavalry had attacked the north end of the river, 3 or 4 miles away. The Indians surrounding Reno had not shown any inclination to fight at any other point before this. A force large enough to prevent Reno from assuming the offensive was left behind, while the remaining available warriors flew to the other end of the camp, finding the Indians there, successfully driving Custer before them. Instead of uniting with them, they separated into 10 parties, moving around the flanks of his cavalry. They report that he crossed the river, but only managed to reach the edge of the Indian camp. After being driven to the bluffs, the fight lasted for perhaps an hour. The Indians do not measure time in hours, so the duration cannot be given accurately. They report that a small number of cavalry broke through the line of Indians and escaped, but they were overtaken within 5 or 6 miles and killed. I infer from this that this retreating body of cavalry was probably led by the missing officers, and they tried to escape only after Custer fell. The last man killed was by 2 sons of a Santee Indian, Red Top, who was a leader in the Minnesota massacre of 62 and 63. After the battle, the squaws entered the field to plunder and mutilate the dead. A general celebration ensued, and a hurried distribution of arms and ammunition took place. The attack on Major Reno was then renewed with vigor. Until this renewed attack, the Indians had suffered comparatively few losses, but now they say their most serious losses occurred. They do not give an idea of numbers, but say there were many. Sitting Bull was neither killed nor personally engaged in the fight. He remained in the council tent, directing operations. Crazy Horse, along with a large band, and Black Moon were the principal leaders. On June 20th, Kill Eagle, chief of the Blackfeet at the head of some 20 lodges, left the agency around the end of May. He was prominently engaged in the Battle of June 25th, and afterward reprimanded Sitting Bull for not taking an active personal part in the engagement. Kill Eagle has sent word that he was forced into this fight, desires to return to the agency, and will return even if it means death. He is reportedly on his way back to get his father. The agent confessed to seeking absolution for his defiant actions against the hand that has fed him for 3 years. He is a shrewd chief who must have realized that he who fights and runs away may live to fight another day. The Indians were not all engaged at one time. Reserves were held to replace losses and renew attacks. The fight continued until the end of the day, when runners kept on the lookout for other units reported a large body of troops, General Terry's column, advancing up the river lodges. previously prepared for a move, retreated southward, followed along the base of the mountains. They marched about 50 miles, camped and held a consultation, deciding to send reports of their success to all the agencies and call upon them to come out and share in future glories. Therefore we may expect an influx of overbearing and imprudent Indians to wage by force, perhaps a succession to Sitting Bull's demands. There is a general gathering in the hostile camp from each of the agencies. On the Missouri River, Red Cloud and Spotted Tails. There are also many Northern Cheyenne and Apache. They report for the benefit of their relatives here that in the 3 fights they have had with the whites, they have captured over 400 stand of arms, carbines, rifles, revolvers, and ammunition without end, as well as sugar, coffee, bacon, and hard bread. They claim to have captured over 900 horses and mules from the whites this summer, including operations against soldiers, Crow Indians, and Black Hills miners. The general outline of this Indian report coincides with the published reports. The first attack by Reno began well into the day. According to the Indians, they report about 300 whites killed, but do not mention how many Indians were killed. A report from another source says the Indians obtained 592 carbines and revolvers from Custer's command after writing the above. I heard the following from the returned hostile. They secretly informed their friends here that a large party of Sioux and Cheyenne were to leave Rosebud Reservation, or the hostile camp, for this agency, to intimidate and compel the Indians here to join Sitting Bull if they refused. They were ordered to kill soldiers and steal their ponies, of course. Any attempts by the military or whites would provoke an attack upon the post, although that secret has not been revealed to friends of the hostile. I shall report any additional news received from reliable Indian sources as soon as obtained. Very respectfully, your obedient servant J. L. Poland, Captain 6th Infantry.